Welcome to Indie Spirit, the podcast that delves into the heart of the indie spirit, a force that drives artists to follow their own path, free from the expectations of others. In this episode, we spotlight Steff Gruber, a Swiss photographer, filmmaker, and pioneer of the docudrama genre. Gruber's work exemplifies the indie ethos, weaving together unflinching humanist storytelling, innovative techniques, and a passion for independent expression. From his early days as a press photographer to his groundbreaking documentary Location Africa, which chronicled the volatile collaboration between Werner Herzog and Klaus Kinski on Cobra Verde, Gruber has consistently pushed creative boundaries. His long-term photography projects, such as the Railway Community series documenting displaced communities in Cambodia, reflect his commitment to capturing raw, human stories with empathy and a distinctive visual language. Beyond the lens, Gruber's ventures into internet innovation and multimedia installations further underscore his relentless drive to explore new horizons. Join us as we explore how Steff Gruber's independent spirit serves as a beacon for creators everywhere, proving that the most meaningful art often arises when we follow our own inner voice, no matter where it leads.
Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. And today we're doing something a little different. We're not dissecting a specific piece of content. Instead, we're going to explore a person, the photographer and filmmaker, Steff Gruber.
And what's fascinating about Gruber is that he's not just a photographer. He's also a filmmaker, an entrepreneur, and even delves into the world of radio waves.
Wow. Talk about range. From documenting communities living in cemeteries and slums to capturing the intensity of Cambodian slaughterhouses at night, Gruber seems drawn to stories that many would shy away from.
Yeah, and that's really what we're going to unpack today. What drives this multifaceted creative force? What does his story reveal about the essence of the indie spirit?
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. Gruber's fascination with photography began at the age of 4 in a fashion studio. I don't know about you, but I was playing with Legos at that age.
Yeah, it's almost as if he was destined for a life behind the lens. But what's interesting is that his family encouraged this passion without pushing him toward, a traditional career path.
Yeah.
That early support really laid the groundwork for his independent spirit.
And that seems to have informed his entire approach, even how he funds his projects. I mean, who else comes up with company names and sells them to fund their art? He even sold the name XBOX to Microsoft.
I know, right?
Yeah.
That's a brilliant example of his resourcefulness, and it's a key part of his indie spirit. He's not waiting for handouts or commissions. He's actively creating opportunities to support his creative vision.
So it's not just about being creative, it's about being entrepreneurial as well. Yeah. He understands that financial independence gives him the freedom to pursue projects that he truly believes in, even if they're not commercially viable.
Exactly. And this leads to another intriguing aspect of his work, his ability to just effortlessly juggle so many different roles. How does he even find the time?
Right. It's like he has a secret stash of extra hours in the day.
Even Gruber admits to struggling with time management, but he's embraced his multifaceted nature. And this reminds me of another creative powerhouse, Karl Lagerfeld.
Ooh, good comparison.
Lagerfeld, despite leading a global fashion empire, always considers himself a photographer first and foremost. It highlights the importance of staying connected to your core passion, even while pursuing other avenues.
That resonates with me. It's not about limiting yourself. It's about understanding that driving force that keeps you going.
Yeah.
And for Gruber, that seems to be a deep fascination with human stories, particularly those that are often overlooked or marginalized.
You can see this shift in his work, moving from fictional films exploring human relationships to documentaries focused on displaced communities, especially in Southeast Asia. He felt a responsibility to use his resources to shed light on the lives of those less fortunate.
Yeah, it's more than just taking pictures. It's about amplifying voices that often go unheard. But it sounds like this approach requires a great deal of trust and access. How does he even begin to build those relationships?
It's all about immersion and collaboration. He spends extended periods within these communities, working closely with a local team, and that commitment fosters a deep level of trust.
And you see that reflected in the stories that he shares, like the one about being robbed in a slum. What happened there?
So he was in a densely packed slum, totally engrossed in photographing the community, when his bag with all of his cameras was stolen. You'd expect panic, right? But instead of focusing on the material loss, he was more concerned about his safety and understanding the realities of the situation.
That's a pretty grounded reaction considering the circumstances. But what about the cameras? Were they gone for good?
This is where it gets interesting. As he's gathering himself, he notices two young girls sitting on a nearby staircase, and they're holding his cameras. They had witnessed the theft and without hesitation retrieved his belongings.
That speaks volumes about the trust he built within that community. It's a powerful reminder that human connection can flourish even in the most unexpected places.
And it perfectly illustrates the indie spirit that defines Gruber's work. It's not about parachuting in and out. It's about immersing yourself, building genuine connections, and letting those experiences shape your perspective.
It's about respecting the communities that you're documenting and understanding that you're a guest in their world.
Yeah, it really is a testament to the power of human connection and the idea that genuine engagement can lead to incredible outcomes.
And that genuine engagement seems to be at the core of his indie spirit. It's not just about creating art, it's about understanding the context, respecting the subjects, and collaborating with the community.
Exactly. And it's important to note that this indie spirit isn't without its challenges, particularly when it comes to funding. Remember, Gruber's photography projects are self-funded, which means he's taking on a significant financial risk to bring these stories to life.
That makes his approach even more remarkable.
Yeah.
Especially when you contrast it with his commercial work, like coming up with company names.
Yeah.
How does he reconcile those two worlds, the artistic and the entrepreneurial?
It's a fascinating balance. On one hand, he's engaging in a very capitalist venture by creating and selling names like XBOX. But on the other hand, he's channeling those earnings into deeply personal, often politically charged art projects that challenge the status quo.
So he's not rejecting commercial success outright. He's actually leveraging it to fuel his artistic vision and maintain his independence. That's incredibly savvy.
It is, and it really underscores the importance of financial independence for artists, especially those who want to tackle potentially controversial subjects without being beholden to outside interests.
It gives him the freedom to pursue his vision without compromise. And speaking of vision, I'm curious about his enduring fascination with Southeast Asia. He's returning to that region, so there must be something about it that deeply resonates with him.
Well, if we look back at his early influences, we see a youthful fascination with authors like Graham Greene and Marguerite Duras, writers whose works were immersed in the atmosphere of Southeast Asia. You could say he's chasing the ghosts of a bygone era.
I love that imagery, chasing the ghosts of a bygone era. But it's more than just romantic vision, right? He seems drawn to the region's complex history, vibrant cultures, and the stories of communities living on the margins.
Exactly. And it's not a superficial infatuation. He's developed a deep connection to the region, a sense of belonging that goes beyond geography. He even compares his comfort level in Phnom Penh to his home city of Zurich, or his residence in the Balearic Islands.
So it's a second home for him.
Yeah.
A place where he can fully immerse himself in his work and connect with the people and stories that resonate with him on a deeper level. But he also seems aware of the romanticized lens through which he initially viewed the region, particularly the complex legacy of colonialism.
Oh, he doesn't shy away from those complexities. He acknowledges the historical context and the shadows that still linger. And that nuanced perspective is another crucial aspect of his indie spirit, a commitment to seeking truth even when it challenges his own preconceptions.
It's about being open to learning, evolving, and recognizing the multifaceted nature of the world around him. And that openness seems to extend to his creative process as well. Take, for example, the story about smuggling his camera into Transnistria. He was willing to go to extreme lengths to capture the stories that intrigued him.
That story perfectly illustrates his dedication and willingness to venture into the unknown. For those unfamiliar, Transnistria is a breakaway state within Moldova, a place frozen in time with a strong Soviet influence, and a reputation for being a bit off the grid.
Not exactly a place you'd find on a typical travel itinerary. What lengths did he have to go to get his camera in?
He literally taped his camera to his body, concealing it beneath layers of clothing, hoping to slip through customs unnoticed. It was a risky move, and he admitted to being terrified. But for him, the potential story was worth the risk.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Talk about dedication to your craft. And that theme of risk-taking also plays out in his documentation of a Cambodian slaughterhouse at night, which sounds like an intense and emotionally challenging experience.
That project pushed him to his limits, both physically and emotionally. He and his team were immersed in darkness, the air thick with the stench of blood and the sounds of animals being processed. It was a sensory overload, a glimpse into a world that most people would rather not confront.
I can only imagine how intense that must have been. Did his team struggle with the experience as well?
Well, his assistant, who happened to be a vegetarian, was so overwhelmed that he nearly quit on the spot. And Gruber himself admitted that it took him weeks to recover, both physically and emotionally.
It sounds like a deeply affecting experience, one that stayed with him long after the project was finished.
It did. He even developed a temporary aversion to meat after that. But despite the challenges, despite the personal toll he saw it through, he believed those images. Those raw and unsettling moments needed to be seen. And that commitment speaks volumes about his dedication to his craft and his indie spirit.
It's a powerful reminder that sometimes the most compelling art comes from pushing boundaries, from venturing into the darkness, and from confronting those aspects of life that we often try to avoid.
Absolutely. And it's this willingness to confront uncomfortable truths that leads us to another facet of his indie spirit, his constant experimentation and exploration of new techniques and approaches. Lately, he's been delving into the analog versus digital debate, particularly when it comes to image capture and printing.
It sounds like he's constantly challenging himself and refining his craft.
Yeah.
What's driving this exploration? Is it simply a fascination with different mediums, or is there something deeper at play?
It goes beyond a simple fascination with technology. His experimentation with analog processes reveals a deep appreciation for the tactile, almost alchemical nature of traditional photography. It's as if he's searching for the soul of the image, regardless of whether it's captured on film or a digital sensor.
It's about understanding the nuances of each medium and how those nuances contribute to the final image and the overall artistic expression. And this leads us to another important aspect of his indie spirit, right? His unwavering stance on artistic freedom, especially in the face of the rise of AI.
That's a topic he feels very passionately about. He's expressed deep concern about the limitations being imposed on artistic expression, the growing influence of censorship, and the push towards enforced morality in the digital realm.
And that's where his indie spirit truly shines, because he's not reliant on grants or commissions. He has the freedom to explore potentially controversial themes without fear of reprisal or having his work stifled.
Precisely. He's using his platform, his resources, and his independent spirit to make a powerful statement about the importance of artistic freedom. It's a reminder that artists have a responsibility to push back against censorship, to challenge the status quo, and to stay true to their vision, even when it's difficult or unpopular.
Yeah, it's inspiring to see someone so committed to artistic freedom, especially in a world where, creative expression is increasingly coming under pressure.
It is, and it brings us back to the core of what we've been exploring today, the essence of the indie spirit. It's not just a label, it's a way of life, a commitment to authenticity, independence, and the pursuit of creative expression no matter the obstacles.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of Steff Gruber, what are the key takeaways for you? What can we learn from his unconventional path?
Well, his story offers a powerful blueprint for anyone seeking a more creative and fulfilling life. We've seen how he follows his passions even when they lead him off the beaten path, how he embraces resourcefulness and carves his own path to fund his work.
And he doesn't just dabble. He immerses himself in his projects, building genuine connections with the communities he photographs and taking the time to understand their stories.
Right. He's not afraid to take risks, whether it's physically venturing into unknown territories or emotionally confronting difficult subjects. And throughout it all, he champions artistic freedom, staying true to his vision even when it challenges conventions.
It's a reminder that the indie spirit is about more than just doing things your own way. It's about pushing boundaries, challenging norms, and using your creativity to make a statement.
Exactly. And that resonates with the idea that the journey itself is just as important as the destination. It's about constantly exploring, experimenting, and evolving both as an artist and as an individual.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? What unconventional paths could you take to support your own creative endeavors?
Think about what truly motivates you. What stories you're burning to tell. Are you willing to take risks to challenge yourself and your audience? How can you leverage your own skills and resources to fuel your creative fire?
Remember, the indie spirit is not limited to artists. It's a mindset, a way of approaching life with passion, purpose, and an unyielding commitment to your own vision.
And as Steff Gruber so brilliantly demonstrates, it's a journey that's open to all of us. So go out there, explore, create, and never stop pushing the boundaries of what's possible. The world needs your unique voice, your unconventional perspective, and your indie spirit. Until next time, keep diving deep.